That's crazy. Have you been keeping up with everything going on with the Pope?
A little bit. I was just looking up some stuff yesterday. But tell me
He died.
Well, yeah, I know that, which is really wild.
And, you know, in our lifetime, we've never really been old enough to know what's going on.
Yeah, that's so true. That's true.
So it's like, well, there's coming a new Pope, and now we get to kind of be a part of this process.
Yeah, and more present with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, or I'm like actually observing and care.
We have a unique perspective because
Yeah.
we're, you know, serving in ministry. We're not Catholic, but appreciate a lot of what they bring to the table for Christianity. And I think it's really exciting. And it
is.
shaped like really what happens.
Well, not his debt. We're sad about
Yeah.
his.
No,
what the Lord's doing, yeah.
When there's a choice or a pick of a new pope, it actually shapes Protestant Christianity too, because it just sends waves, you know, throughout the entire globe for every Christian actually. And so
It's so true.
this whole so if you're a cardinal, you get to vote on who the next pope is, and you have to be a cardinal that's under 80 years old. So I think there's like about 230 or so cardinals right now, but I think maybe only 130 of them are under 80. So these 130 cardinals all will get together and they'll be locked in to a room together for like 2-3 weeks.
For real.
Because
This is the voting process.
yeah, because a lot of them don't know each other because they're
Wow.
like one's in, you know,
Yeah, that's
like
true. There's so many of them.
Cardinal Dolan
Yeah.
in New York, and then there's the one in Argentina, and then there's the one in Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like here's 130 cardinals from around the world. I think 70 of them were picked from Pope Francis himself, so they're newer cardinals.
Yeah.
Then they come together, and technically anybody who's Catholic is eligible to be Pope, but it's always like a cardinal. So then the 130 people are all in the room, and they're saying who among us should be the next Pope.
It's so wild.
Isn't that crazy?
It is really crazy.
Like, who's it gonna be?
Who's it gonna be?
Who wants it?
Yeah. I wonder if, like, I don't know what it'd be like to be a cardinal, but I wonder if there's someone that's like, I want it to be me.
I don't know.
Like, maybe there is the guy that's like, I think it's me.
I think I
I
want
hope
to be
they vote for me.
I think I want to be
Like,
the
do you
Pope.
advocate for yourself? Do you be like,
I don't know.
I don't know how
top
it
secret.
works.
They don't ever talk about what happens in it. It's called
wow.
It's called the Conclave.
Isn't there a movie about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to just keep voting until I think it's like 2/3 of the people all vote on the same Pope. That's why it takes so long.
Wow.
They just keep vote, secret ballot, vote.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that room and see how they do it.
Who counts it? Is it a nun?
Yeah, probably someone really official.
Is it like handwritten or is it like check mark?
And then that, I don't know.
Can they text it in now?
Now I want to research this and find out. Can they text it in?
We're living in
It's on an app. the Cardinal app, special access.
official Pope app. I mean, I don't know, but it's an exciting time for Catholics. I didn't know much about Pope Francis. I started to learn more after his death, and because he had made a lot of statements that, you know, almost felt like they were opposite of what I believed about the Bible. But then in research, like when I'm going back and looking, I'm like, actually, he did say things, but I also think he was being misinterpreted by the media.
Yeah, well, they're probably, I think the media probably was, it's those snippets, isn't it? They take little snippets and phrase it in a certain way.
Yeah. I think, you know, there's issues about immigration that he had a different position than maybe I would in terms of, like, I love people coming to the United States. I'm like one of the biggest fans. I'm like pro immigration. I'm like, bring them all here. I want every person who wants to live here, they should live here. However, they should do it legally and go through the right process, and they should be vetted, because we don't want terrorists coming and living in our nation.
Right.
But like, our nation was actually founded upon the idea that people from all over the world got to come here and have a chance at hope and the American dream.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm all in favor of that. So now we're more established as a nation. Let's continue that process.
Yeah.
But let's make it a process where we know who you are and we know what your intentions are of coming, that you're going to contribute positively to society and you're not going to drain it. His stance was kind of like, let everybody in. And that's the big difference maybe that I would have on the immigration issue with him.
Yeah. It it can get so complicated, can it, when it comes to like Christian virtues and values and then translating that into
policy.
Yeah, it's so it's complicated, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because, we want to help the orphan, the widow, the refugee, but then there's policy and there's safety and there's the actual structure of it within a country. And it is like we really do have to have the wisdom of heaven in doing that.
Like public
right
safety
way.
as a sub policy, inside of government, it's one of the most debated issues of all time.
I believe that.
And what we don't get from Democrats or Republicans are just genuine thoughts about it from a human perspective.
Yeah.
What we get is weaponized versions of it.
Yeah, instead of humanity being at the core. That's so true, Tyler.
Yeah. So like asylum, I'm in favor of.
Yeah.
People coming in and contributing positively to society, I'm in favor of.
Yeah.
But just opening it and letting terrorist cells, which are happening, we know that.
Yeah, we do know that. That's true.
Like we have good word on it from several public sources that there's, sleeper cells in every city in the United States right now, and that they can be activated like that. That's not good.
No, it's not. Not to go down like the rabbit hole of 9/11. We don't have to do that. But I was just watching and researching.
Tell me your conspiracy, please.
No conspiracies here. But it was I was having a really interesting conversation with my dad about it because he's a pilot. So I was asking him, how did this clearly affected everything in 2000. I'm a kid, so I'm not seeing how this affected the flight industry, national security, all of that. And my dad and I were talking about it, and I was researching some more stuff now that I'm older and really seeing what happened in the events of that day, everything. And it is really wild that they knew who those guys were. Yeah. They had their files.
Yeah.
Like where they were based in New York, like one of the main,
Yep.
I can't think of his name right now, but one of the main ones that led that.
Yep.
And you go, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Because thousands of lives. Like I don't know what was going on there.
They knew something was going to happen.
But they knew, yeah, exactly. And that's where you go, this is the devastation of thousands of lives being lost.
It's more than that when you include the impact of war.
That is so true.
It's millions of lives.
That's true. That is very true. It's the effects of that changed our world forever. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, we haven't had like a big attack again since then. But when you rewatch everything.
In the United States.
Yeah, exactly. In the US. Thank you for correcting that. But I went, security is important. After watching all that, I'm like, we cannot forget what went down.
Yeah.
Because this is so important. And the heart of the Lord wants to protect people.
Yeah.
And
the whole idea of like never forget was started in Pearl Harbor. So I did some research on this. Like I love learning like where did catchphrases come from? A lot of times they come from the Bible. But
that's actually true.
The United States was in a situation when Pearl Harbor happened that they were very strongly advocating for peace. The United States was refusing to hop into the World War and choose sides and all this stuff because they felt like, hey, the last thing that we want is to prolong another entire world war that's going to go on forever and cost millions of dollars.
Right.
And there was some miscommunication between us and the Japanese and some other officials. And out of nowhere, they got Pearl Harbor. And so it forced the United States to then pick sides and hop in the war. And they came up with this phrase like, never forget. And it was like, it was this rallying cry of patriotism that increased the sentiment amongst Americans. Be like, we're never going to forget, never forget, never forget, never forget. And I think it's so interesting when you just like, never forget 9/11. That's like our generation's version of what happened in Pearl Harbor. Like, hey,
but you do start to forget.
Easily.
And you forget and you go, no, we actually do need to zip up and make sure people are safe.
Yeah.
And protected.
Yeah.
Because when it happens, it's devastating. It's devastating.
And it's weird too because like there's the real impact of what could happen from a physical attack on U.S. soil, but now cyber attacks are just as dangerous.
Yeah.
And so there's like people could hack airplanes. People could hack because they're all ran by computers. People could hack your bank account or whatever. Like they could shut down our whole grid essentially in some way. So it's like, not only do we need to be careful who's coming in our country, but we need to be extremely careful on how we build protocol and firewalls and cybersecurity and all of that's like, it's just elevated in this season.
It's so true.
And we're right here in the middle of it.
And we're right here in the middle of it.
Most of the time living naive and oblivious.